And today I'm talking about how do you make your 2022 goals work for you. Oftentimes, when we start off with our plans for 2022 or for the new year, we come up with all these goals and then we jam them into our calendar. And quickly we get overwhelmed. So I am actually I did the same thing this year. I came up with my goals. I was like, oh, I'm going to schedule them out. I'm going to schedule the first week. And I looked at the first week and I was like, already I feel overwhelmed. And I haven't even really started yet. And I realized, I said, okay, I'm doing this wrong. When you see all these goals, it's not that you're supposed to jam your calendar full of each one of your, doing something towards your goal each week or each day. You need to break them down into pieces. In yesterday's Motivation Monday, I talked about making quarterly goals and then breaking them down. But I want to bring up not only is that a good plan, but I also want to bring to your attention that you don't have to, if you have, say, 4 goals, you don't have to try to do something to work towards them every day or every week. You might select for one goal, you might say, well, I'm going to work on that one once a week. Or you might say, you know what, I'm going to specifically focus on one of the goals for the first couple weeks. And then I'm going to schedule something to do with the next goal later in the month. You don't want to overwhelm your schedule so much that you're so busy, so overwhelmed that you get nowhere. So, number one, make sure that you're not adding too many variables to your calendar at one time. If you're trying to learn 3 or 4 new skills during the same week, how successful are you going to be? So you have to break things down into smaller pieces. You might have to focus for a while on one and then focus on another. Sometimes you're way more productive. In fact, when they talked about multitasking, they find that multitasking doesn't work. You are much more productive when you focus on one task at a time. So you might choose to say, I'm going to work on the first goal in the first month and then and then schedule the next goal farther into the year, maybe the next month or the next quarter. So consider looking at your goals that way. You do not have to accomplish everything the first month. You don't have to work on everything the first week. Look at it as a plan and make sure you schedule out. It's important that you don't overload your stuff, that you're not trying to do too many variables at one time and learn too many skills at one time. These are supposed to become habits. Maybe there's something small you can put in place to start a habit. Okay, so that's number one. Um, Number two is oftentimes when it comes to business, especially marketing, we try to do everything. We see all these different things online. Oh, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. You're like throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks. Well, when you do a little bit of everything, you're not efficient at all. For example, if you say, I want to do some, you know, get into social media and do that better at that, I recommend picking one platform and mastering that platform until you become proficient at it before you pick up a second one or a third one. So it's important to not spread yourself too thin. You also want to look at what works and what doesn't work. And that's number three. Make sure you're picking what truly works. Maybe you need to look at your messaging. Are you truly reaching your audience? Or is it a targeting issue? You need to go back and review and look at your results. Look at your data. Are you getting people to the right target to read your message? Do you need to refine connecting to your target? Is your message working? Is it resonating with them? Are they acting on the information? Do you have follow-up processes, or are you just trying to get as many leads as you can, but then you're not actually having a follow-up process for the leads that you are getting? So it's important to, before you just fill your schedule up and say, I'm going to do all these different things, you need to back up and reassess and figure out what's working, what's not working. Figure out what's working and continue to do that. If it's not working, examine it. See why it's not working. It might not be the right tactic for you if it's marketing or sales, that particular tactic. Or it might be the targeting or the messaging or just not being consistent with the follow through and follow up. So that's really what when you're planning, it's not just throw new things up there. It's really examining what you've already done and picking the things that work. Um, you know, I remember years ago that I worked for this corporation and the economy had taken a big nosedive. And my staff was like, "Oh, well, we'll be safe because we are always busy. We always have so much work to do." And I said, "Well, there's a difference between being busy and being productive. Yes, we always have lots to do, but how much is actually producing results? We need to look at how we're producing results." And we had to ditch a lot of things that weren't working to focus on things that would work. And we did have layoffs, and I had to let staff go. Wasn't my decision. It was a numbers thing. But it's important to realize that just being busy isn't actually productive. You have to look at your results. You need to focus your energy, your time, and your money in the activities that are relevant, that are going to produce measurable results. Yesterday in Motivation Monday, I talked about SMART goals, and I encourage you to go back and watch that if you haven't yet. And, they were specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. And so in that video, I talk about that a little bit more, but I encourage you to really look at your goals and look at what's working and make sure you implement that and make sure it's relevant and producing results. So that is your Technique Tuesday. So I just wanted to follow up with the Monday Motivation so that you could see how you need to start planning your 2022. Another thing I wanted to talk to the group about is that I want to encourage the group to have an accountability partner. In Motivation Monday yesterday, I talked about the value of accountability partners. And I will do another session just specifically on how to work with an accountability partner. But I wanted to bring it up so you can start connecting with each other and asking each other to be accountability partners. What an accountability partner gives you is as you are coming up with your weekly plans that go along with your quarterly goals and your 2022 plan, um, that you can meet weekly for an hour and you each share where you are that week, how well you did, what your stumbling blocks were, and what your goals are for the next week. That partner will help keep you accountable to working towards your goals. It ends up being a phenomenal coaching session where you coach each other through navigating through your challenges and growing each of your businesses. And so you could be in the same field or slightly different, but it really we're all in business here, and when we're all entrepreneurs. So you're going to find a lot of value, and it is when I did this last year that I so looked forward to that hour with my accountability partner. I was so energized afterwards. I had such passion. It was really the highlight of my day. Whenever I had that meeting. So I very much encourage you to consider that, and I will have a specific Technique Tuesday just about accountability partners and what you would do during that meeting. So if you're looking for accountability partner, put something in the comments, or you can DM somebody in the group and ask them. I highly encourage, if you don't have an accountability partner yet, please put something in the comments. Say, hey, I'm looking for an accountability partner who wants to be my partner. So I encourage you to do that in the comments below. Let's get partnered up and help each other to make 2022 amazing. So that's Technique Tuesday. Till next Tuesday.